Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 105. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Will each and every week, and we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
We are a month into the season, and
that is correct.
And it just feels like we're getting to the thick of it, right? It feels like we're getting conference season coming up, the start of it. The little preview they do in December.
Yeah.
That's coming, and it just feels good. It feels like teams are starting to find their spot of where they are, and kind of what they'll be. But yeah, it just feels good, man, to have us one month of college basketball in the books. And Feast Week always delivers.
Always. You think it's fitting that it delivers, right? Because it's feast, you're having food, to food delivery. But no, it was a great week of games. Very, very interesting outcomes for a lot of different teams
in the state and out, man.
Yeah. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. Had two, but it was good. Got both families. What about you?
Both same day, or do you?
Yeah, same day. Same day. They were 30 minutes apart. So,
in distance or in time?
In start time, but because we went to my family's first, my wife's family kind of pushed their eating time back, so that was nice. And everyone kind of showed up late anyway. But it ended up working out. Good.
Yeah. So do you try and split the day? Spend equal amount of time with each side, or is it just kind of just?
Yeah, as we can, but when they start so similarly, it's if you spend so long at the first one, you spend so long at the first one, you miss most of the second one.
Yeah, go 2 hours early to the first one, and then
when no one's there,
leave for 2 hours. Yeah. No, I get you. I had a good Thanksgiving too. It was I didn't get the memo on one side of my family that the food was pushed back an hour, which is fine.
Right.
Whatever. Darn, I didn't get to eat 2 meals. Right. But also the turkey took about an extra half hour. So by the time I needed to leave, people were just getting their plates. So my aunt was like, "You gotta have at least have mac and cheese." So I had a little paper plate of mac and cheese
on your way out.
Pretty much on my way. I sat there, ate real quick as everyone was getting their plates, and then said bye as everyone was getting their plates, and drove half hour across town to start cooking for the.
You just have
family.
the two?
Yep, just the two.
Nice.
Which makes it easy, but we've had it but the same times every year, but slight delays. Moved it back with my mom's, moved it forwards a little bit with my dad's, so it was it shrank the time a little bit, but it was good. It was good. What's also good is Crow's Nest Coffee. They are the proud sponsor. Well, we are proud to have them as our sponsor for the Power Rankings. Holiday season is here. Great stocking stuffers. Everyone loves coffee, especially here in Indiana when it's cold and there's about a foot of snow on the ground, and in various places across the state. But they are, as always, our sponsor of our Power Rankings. The Power Rankings that are number 11, Purdue Fort Wayne. They moved down one spot. Mostly just by a team that was below them moving up. Ball State is number 10. They moved down a couple spots. Team below them moved up. 2 teams below them really moved up. And then Ball State just had a tough week. 9, we've got IU, Indy, who are still the same. They're at 9, but they're one that moved up above Ball State this week. And then making the biggest jump, I think, across our entire power rankings was number 8, Southern Indiana. They had a huge win over Valpo, who is, ranked higher than them, have been for a few weeks. So we felt that with that win that they deserved to jump a few spots. And so that they did, moved up from 11 to 8. Then the rest is going to sound just like last week. We've got 7, Evansville, 6, Indiana State, 5 is Valpo, 4 is Notre Dame, 3 is Indiana, 2 is Butler, 1 is Purdue. One thing, we felt that it made sense to keep the top 7 the same, just based on a hodgepodge of outcomes. One thing we did talk about, again, was Indiana and Butler, right? We talked about it last week. Butler just had the better resume. Okay, well, Butler didn't really play, a highly ranked team this week. just because of the MTE they were in the week before. And Indiana played 2 games, one of which being against a pretty good Kansas State team. But again, we sat down and looked at it. It's like, okay, Virginia getting that win by Butler plus the close loss against SMU, still a better resume across the board, right? Indiana does have 2 really tough opponents coming up in the next few weeks. So, that's their time to, potentially make that jump above Butler. But right now, again, Butler still does have that better resume. So
yeah,
we
like a coin. It was like a coin flip game. Yeah. So if they had lost by more, I think that Indiana would probably be above them. But like it was a 2-point game that they could have won, at the very last second. So it felt like that was a coin flip thing there. Yep. So it's like, okay, but that win, like we use Bart Torvik, that's our computer ranking that we use, and Virginia's the 30th team in the country. Like that's good. Now I know Indiana's the 20th team in the country on Bart Torvik, but yeah, we do things a little differently. And then I think we had a lot of deliberation around Valpo and what do we do with them, because like they did lose to the last team in our power rankings. And so the natural thing, because Valpo and Indiana State were pretty close in resume, and it's like, okay, so does Indiana State jump them? Well, Indiana State didn't have a good week, and so like they lost. They also lost to a team in the 300s.
Yeah,
and so like in an MTE, but like I don't know. It felt like there wasn't enough. Like if they were close, and then they both had like a 300 level loss. I think Valpo still got 1 win this week. So, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So let's kind of talk about these teams, because if you read the description, this is our first time doing this, actually, now that I think about it. Within our recap, we are slamming together an interview and a recap episode in the same time. So I'm going to do my absolute best to get us to that section of the show on time. And by that, I mean, Jaren's going to do his absolute best to make sure that we get there, because
so if you hear me cut him off or forcing him, that is why we're on a schedule just based on the
shot collar around my ankle.
I'm not Hassan.
Is gonna get us there on time. Jaren's got the remote.
But that's why. So if you see me pick up my phone, it's I'm using the app to nudge him.
We're high tech here. The unpaid intern got us that one.
Yeah, he's trying to earn a paycheck. Okay, so we've got Ball State, right? They are ranked 291. That is down several spots from 248. They did go 1-2 this week. They are 3-5 overall. Is that right, unpaid intern?
Yes.
So 3-5 overall. They lost to Monmouth, 80-73. They lost to Lafayette, 55-37. Then they won over Lemoyne, 96-85. So what big takeaways do you have? What few takeaways do you have from?
I don't want to talk about the Lafayette game at all. Makes me think of last year when we saw a team in our power rankings score 30. Not a good result there. Monmouth, had like good assist. They're sharing the ball well, but just didn't really have it in them. They got killed on the glass, and that to us that's pretty much a death sentence when you get killed on the glass. And then just way to bounce back after losing to Lafayette when you win against Lemoyne and do it by double digits.
Yeah. I mean, the big takeaway for me was I really wanted to compare how did they go from that Lafayette game to the Lemoyne game on the next day, right? There was no rest in between. It was quite literally the next day.
Yeah, 3 games in 3 days.
Yeah, which is a lot, right? Maybe the fatigue is what we saw in the Lafayette game. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate there. But I just wanted to compare Lafayette and Lemoyne. And it was really interesting. They're very similarly ranked in Torvik. The big thing that was interesting to me was great. Lafayette, they have a 241 ranked defense, which is higher than Ball State's offense, right? They're 267. So, okay, defense shut down Ball State, which they did. And then they have the 333 offense to Ball State's 266 defense. So that kind of that explained it a little bit, the disparity in the scoring outside of just, missing shots.
Yeah.
Right. Defense does play a factor there on both sides. And then it's like, okay, how do they bounce back? Well, Lemoyne, historically bad defense. They're 364.
Second to last, right?
Second to last, second to worst defense in the country. Okay, that explains probably, Ball State's almost 100 points for their, much better offense. And then Lemoyne has a really good offense. They're 177, which is very polarizing, right? Terrible defense, pretty so good offense.
On paper, it's gonna be a higher scoring game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a higher scoring game for both, just because of the factors there. So that makes a little bit of sense there to me. And that was just the big takeaway that I had was, okay, how did this possibly happen? And the numbers just kind of lined up in my head.
Yeah. Let's keep this thing rolling. See, I'm doing well here. Butler, they went up in Torvik from 64 to 59. They only played one game because their MTE was last week, and they're 6-1 overall. They won their game this week against Wright State 94-69, and it was not looking like that at halftime because they were down 3, and then they went on to outscore them 65 to 37 in the second half. So I don't know what Thad Matta said at halftime, but it clearly worked.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing to me was that there's 65 half-point points, almost more than Wright State had in the game.
Yeah, and I love when you see stuff like that. Like,
they came out to prove a point.
Like they would have only had to score 5. They could have scored 5 points in the first half and won, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing is like Jalen Jackson, he's out. He had an ankle injury over the summer, and then I don't know, like rolled it or something in their last game. And so he was in a boot again and did not play. So that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, came out the gate second half, 18-3 run. Just we're like, okay, no, let's stop messing around. The Thanksgiving hangover's over. Let's move on.
Yep. Then moving on to Evansville. They are 266. That's down from 232 in Torvik last week. They did go 0-1. They're 3-5 overall, and they had a loss to Cause of Charleston, 78-59. The big thing for me was like, okay, I expected going into this game, I was like, okay, this is going to be similar to the Oregon State game, right? Charleston, very similarly ranked as Oregon State. Like, okay, they won. It was relatively close, but like they still got the win, right, over Oregon State. So it's like, okay, maybe same scenario. Like maybe they'll win by a few or lose by a few kind of thing. And then Josh Hughes he fouled out.
Putting a blender down low.
Yeah, they absolutely just ruled him out of the game completely.
Yeah, and the refs literally.
Yeah. By rule, he was removed from the game, and I think that was a big reason why they lost this game. And I think that's one of the factors that we considered with the power rankings too. Is like, okay, how do you they probably would have played. I think Josh is worth close to 20 points, both just when you
offensive
factor
and defensively.
When you kind of average that out.
They got killed on the glass, part of that being they didn't have one of their giants in the game.
Yep.
They got killed 24 to 42. So like really didn't, do well there, unfortunately. And I think part of that is because he fouled out. I don't remember how many minutes he played. 15 minutes, 2 shot attempts. And he went 1 for 2. So not a winning recipe. And then we also kind of like talking about their ranking is like they also did lose pretty badly on Sunday when we were live.
But against a really good team.
Yes. I think that team that won it all, right? Won the whole thing.
Yeah, I think Akron did.
Or no, they lost to Yale. That's what it was. They lost to a really good Yale team.
Yeah, right. So it's either way, like an Akron team that had just played really close to Purdue, which was
Purdue,
the number 1 team in the country at the time. Right. Or I guess technically they were number 2, weren't they?
Yeah,
because it was the game following that. Yeah. But either way,
let's talk about IU. So they didn't play an MTE at all this year, which is fine. They still did play, average out to about the same number of games over the last 2 weeks.
Was that a byproduct of them going on their overseas trip?
I don't know necessarily if that's the reason, but I know that like probably just the timing of like these big marquee games.
That's fair.
I don't know if they just like wanted to. I don't know why. That they probably had Kentucky and Louisville scheduled already.
Yeah.
And then they probably was like, we could go on an MTE. might as well just pick up Kansas State or something.
Yep, that makes sense.
Which is who they beat this week. 86-69. They beat Kansas State at home, and then they played Bethune-Cookman and beat them 100-56. And that brought them from 27th to 20th in Torvik. 2-0 this week, 7-0 overall. So one of the last remaining unbeaten teams resides in the state of Indiana, and it's the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah. The best part about that Kansas State game is just seeing all of the Reed Bailey haters just eat their words. Like I was watching people in real time tweet like, okay, why is Reed Bailey in the game? Like whatever. And then he just did his thing. And then people literally would go like a couple hours back, like we're quote tweeting themselves and saying, okay, never mind.
I was unfamiliar with your game.
Yeah. And then also Connerin, right? Just a dog, right? He was getting a lot of flack from a lot of people who are not ball knowers. People don't understand the value that he brings outside of the box score.
He's that guy that you put on the the best guard.
He was literally talking for the 3 days prior to the Kansas State game about how he wanted to guard and was excited to guard PJ Haggerty, knowing that he was the nation's leading scorer.
I heard it was weeks. He was talking about it.
I saw at least 3 days. That's what I think Tatum said in a post game interview.
And I love that.
Tatum was like, he wanted the smoke. That's just how Enright is. Like that is the value he brings to this team. Even though he's not dropping 12, 15 points a game, he's keeping the other team's best score.
Yeah, and that's his job, you know. And I mean, he has been doing well as a guard too, but like on the defensive end, just like doing all the stuff. Like he played PJ Haggerty, who was guarding him, who's the leading scorer in the country. He was averaging 28 points. They held him to 16, and so his average went down to 26. So pretty good. Yeah. And then like we had seen, I think the biggest thing in this is like the K-State game. They looked really good right out the gate. Then they looked pretty terrible, and then they looked really good. And so that's good to see. Like effort has seemingly been an issue with this team. We didn't see that this week, and so hopefully that they just kind of nip that in the bud, and will continue to play with effort.
Yep. I think breakout week for Nick Dorn. Needed that. He obviously started the season hurt.
Yeah.
Played marginal minutes, but against Bethune-Cookman, he really came alive, and I think that's going to be great for them when it comes to depth going into the conference season. Indiana State, they are 232 down from 221. They did go 0-2 this week. They are 4-4 overall. They had a loss to Louisiana Tech, 77-73. Then they lost to Alcorn State, 81-74.
The ending of the Louisiana Tech game broke me. There was just like a perfect Ian Scott opportunity right there where he just kind of was in the right place at the right time, got a pass, and had a pretty wide open lane right in the middle and just, laid it in. And then they guarded the action pretty decently, I thought, in the last play. And they hit the shot because like brought them, what was it, up one, and then or whatever it was, to get within one, and then they hit some free throws, and then they ended up hitting the shot with 1 second remaining. And it's like, okay, that's gonna be it. Not enough time.
Yeah, I mean to sum up that game, right? It's a 2-point loss in the last 6 minutes. Indiana State outscored Louisiana Tech 22-12. With 15 combined points from Ian Scott and Xavier Hill. And then, they shot 10 of 11 and committed no turnovers. So, like, they were hitting their shots. They were keeping control of the ball, not giving away free points. But the lead was just too big.
Letting
up to
them
that
go
point.
On a 16-0 run in the first half doesn't help.
Yeah, the lead was just too large to that point, I think. And then they just, not enough time on the clock, right? Like if they play 41 minutes in a game,
right,
Indiana State probably wins this game. It's just very unfortunate.
Yeah, and then the next game, the Alcorn State game, like this is ultimately the reason why, like if they beat Alcorn State, I think that they move up in our power rankings and Valpo moves down a spot. But we just it's a 300 level team that I don't think had won a game. They were 0-7, I think at the time, and they scored 16 points in the first half. Like we've seen some bad first halves. Like Butler had a pretty bad one. Ball State had a pretty bad one. This is pretty bad. Like,
yeah, I mean, to put it in perspective, we talk a lot about Evansville being a tale of two halves. I don't think we've picked up on this enough from Indiana State, but it's through their 8 games, the opponents are outscoring Indiana State 297 to 259 in the first half. In the second half, Indiana State's outscoring their opponents 324 to 282.
So it's like almost 40 points each way.
Yeah. And a lot of Indiana State's games have been, relatively close losses. So it's just baffling, like just the disparity there. But I think if they could string 2 halves together, or give up less first point halves or points, they don't have to score more in the first half. Just don't let the other team score more.
Yeah, it was just like looking at the stats of the breakdown is crazy. They were 6 for 28 in the first half, and then 18 of 36 in the second half. They shot 50% in the second half, but then they were 2 from 2 from the line, and then 18 of 23 from the line in the second half. Like, that's just crazy. I don't know, man. Like, it's just hard to watch that transpire. It just hurts you because it's like, again, if this game was longer, 45 minutes. Also, just don't waste those first 20 minutes and you'll be fine.
Yeah, for real. Let's move on to IU Indy. They moved up in Torvik. They're 342, up from 349. They did go 1-0 this week. They're 3-6 overall with a win over Morehead State, 85 to 80.
This is a team that, we said, if they had more time in Indiana State, like a 45-minute game, I don't think anyone wants to play a 45 or a 50-minute game against IU Indy, because just the longer the game goes on, the more mistakes you're going to make, the more tired you're going to be.
Yeah.
You're seeing, like, I know they're not scoring nearly as high as they were last year. Not they, isn't a different team, but I know Ben Hallett's teams aren't scoring nearly as much as they were the last couple of years, but like, Kyler DiAgostino had 25 and Micah Davis had career high 24. He went 6 of 11 from 3. That was most of their 3-point shooting right there. But like, some dudes are getting some run and they are just thriving in it. And I'm sure it feels pretty darn good. Like, I'm in a system where I'm going to score 28, 30, whatever it is, here pretty soon. But
I just think it was a great win to start building some momentum. They have going into three conference games over the next couple weeks, so they've got that momentum. We do think, we've said it before, that they're going to look a little bit different in conference play, just because there's not as large a disparity between teams, and the Horizon League is it's very top heavy, but the teams that aren't at the top are all relatively close in ranking, and those rankings are relatively low. But I just, the cool thing for me was, talked about Indiana State, their difference in first half to second half. It was really cool seeing they won both halves. IU Indy did.
Okay.
Which is, I think, is a big notch on their belt. Like, of their, there's only 2 D1 wins that they have. But this is the only one. Like, the Eastern Michigan game wasn't like that. They didn't win both halves.
So they played, well the whole time.
Yes, just them playing well, start to finish, I think is what I noticed the most.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be very key.
He'd probably say this is their most complete game or win, that they've played. I mean, obviously they played pretty well against Ohio State to begin, but obviously didn't come out with a win there. Let's talk about Notre Dame. They played in the Players Era Festival out in Las Vegas. They went from 68 to 65 in our rankings, so they moved up 3 spots, actually. They went 1-2 in that tournament, which is the beginning of this week. So they're 5-3 overall. They lost to Kansas 71-61, so a 10-point loss there. Then they beat Rutgers by 5, 68-63, and then they followed that up with a 10-point loss to Houston 66-56. If you beat Kansas, you don't play Houston. I think. I mean, I don't know
I
technically how the bracketing would have worked out
I
because no
think
one
so
does.
because that's because there is no bracket.
Yeah, no one knows. It was
But Houston had a loss,
right, but
and so if Notre Dame is 2-0, I don't think that they would play a team that had a
well, didn't
loss
someone who was 2
because
0 had to play a had
Kansas was 2-0 and they wouldn't have been
yeah, I
2-0.
don't know.
So
The whole thing is ridiculous is what it is.
yeah.
But I mean they
They probably
they
avoid
should,
Houston with a win over
yeah,
Kansas.
and they also should have beaten Kansas. Like Kansas was playing down. They didn't have Darren Peterson. Notre Dame shot 4 of 24 from 3. This whole tournament, they were broke. Could not shoot a 3 to save their lives.
I mean, I think they had a chance. They could have beat Houston too.
If they didn't have like the worst first half of all time.
Yeah.
Like they were incredible in the second half, and down the stretch, like Houston down the stretch is always super hard.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. The whole tournament just killed me because like they should have beat Kansas. Tried to give the game away to Rutgers, and then tried to give the game away to Houston in the first half. We're down like 20 something or something like that, and then ended up making it close.
Yeah. So I mean, my big thing is like a lot of negative to take from it, right? But to me, I don't feel bad about how they performed. Do we want them to go 3-0? Yes. But I mean, going into the season, right? We said that they could realistically go 2-1 in players.
I don't remember. It was either 2 or 1 or 1 and 2.
We specifically said 2-1.
Okay.
We thought they'd go 1-1 against Kansas and Rutgers because those two games we knew were scheduled.
We saw, and then we obviously didn't know they were going to play Houston.
Right, and I think that's just bad RNG. Right, like they had to go and play Houston of all teams. Houston
coming off a loss,
and then it's Houston, right? But then you add in the factor that they just lost.
Yeah,
so that's like Houston times 12.
To the team that's like, hey, you're going to lose to this really defensive team, and it's like, oh, they lost to Houston. It's like, no, Houston lost to this really defensive Tennessee team. It's like, oh, gross. Yeah,
and so it's just bad RNG. But I still think being within 10 to both Kansas and Houston is still positive. Like, there's still learning things from, like, especially when you look at how bad they shot. It's like, okay, if we shot lights out and lost by 10, it's like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
Okay, we lost by 10 and we shot the worst we've ever shot in our lives. Okay. Just get more reps in.
Yeah, I think for me the problem is, like, I don't know who's going to pick up that shooting load because, like, Braden Shrewsbury hasn't been shooting as well, I think, according to the numbers. I don't know if the numbers say it, but it doesn't feel like he's been shooting it nearly as well. Jalen Harrelson, not a 3-point shooter.
Right.
Was it Burton? Not a 3-point shooter either.
I didn't know who you were like.
Yeah, I just couldn't think.
Yeah, Burton,
for some reason, I said, like, Micah Davis in my head, and I was like, what is going on? Marcus Burton, he's not a 3-point shooter. So you've got two guys who are basically like your 1-2 scoring option.
Yeah.
Not shooting threes. So that really missed Matalaco. You have Matalaco, you win that.
Oh, for sure.
You win those.
For sure. Let's move on to Purdue Fort Wayne. They are 247 down from 238. They did go 2-0 this week. They're 4-5 overall. 2 much needed wins. They had a win over Chicago State, 90-77, and then a win over Holy Cross, 92-59. In general, right? Like, this team is going to make me go on blood pressure medicine. I mean, they were down double digits to Chicago State. Mind you, Chicago State hadn't won a game. And then obviously Holy Cross is kind of a throwaway game. It's non-D1.
Yeah.
Nothing to talk about really.
You just want to come out of that with a win and
not worry. But I think that I just want to take the time to, like, mention, right, they're last in our power rankings, mostly because we thought USI deserved to be higher, so we moved them up. But when you think about, okay, they had a 13-point win over Chicago State. They should have won by more. It is a very bad Chicago State team. They were down double digits. So that kind of weighed in on our decision to lower them, or keep them lower rather. But yeah, I just expected more out of this team, and hopefully
we'll see it.
Hopefully we start to see it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
to this point,
the fact that they had to replace their center, their front court, or their backcourt and their center, like
4 of their 5 starters.
yeah, and like 3 of them, one hardest working man in America, and then 3 of the best guards in the conference. Like obviously that's going to be a step back, and
Yeah.
the system's going to get there. Sorry, I don't know what to call it because now I can't call
Program?
things the system anymore. No, not the program, but like Koff's
Game plan.
is it's going to get there. And you've got some dogs, and Mikhail Stevenson dropped a career high 29. Hadnot continues to just be incredible. He had 28 points on 11 of 12 shooting. And I think part of the reason why this game looked so scary earlier on is because they started 0 for 9 from 3. And then they went and hit 13 of their next 16 threes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, law of averages. Like, that Koff was just like, keep shooting. We're not going to miss. Like, we're going to start hitting them all. Like, we're going to shoot a pretty good percent. So, we ended up seeing that. But, they're going to get there. So let's talk about Purdue. Again, I think it's always so funny when Purdue makes a move after, like, winning. They went down 1 spot from 4 to 5. They went 1-0 this week. They're 7-0 overall. That's the other undefeated team in the state. And they beat Eastern Illinois 109-62. And the reason why they went down, probably, other than like, people in the Players Era Festival, Michigan, is because Eastern Illinois was getting buckets in garbage time.
Yeah.
They were just getting crazy buckets in garbage time. So they could have won by like 60.
Yeah. The thing that I wanted to point out, we've talked a lot about our records that this Purdue team has set over several years, right? A lot of it's centered around Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jacobson set a school record.
Oh, this is crazy.
19 consecutive field goals.
Set a record and counting.
Yeah, it's still going. Which is crazy when you think about, like, okay, they had Edey, right? Who was 2-time National Player of the Year, like a bucket, quite literally.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jacobson's gotten a lot of hate. And I'll admit, I'm one of those people, right? I just never saw how he fit in. But hey, we're seeing it now, and I think that's great for him.
He dropped 24 off the bench. Went 8 for 8. He missed his first shot in their last game before this, and then hasn't missed since. And Zach Edey probably could have done something crazy, but like, even if he wasn't fouled on the play, he was fouled.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
He was getting hacked, even if they didn't call it.
It was murderer's row every time he got the ball. Another really interesting thing, they had 1.58 points per possession in that game, which is their second highest in school history.
Nice.
Which I thought felt kind of low.
Would have been more if Illinois State wasn't getting buckets against their deep bench. Braden Smith assist tracker, though, he's at 821. That brings him second in the Big Ten. So he's got
79.
Come on, one-time math major. You got this.
That's 79. No, it's 69.
Nice.
Dude, math
to tie. 70 to pass. 70 to pass.
Okay, so I was trying to do the math, because it's written 821 to 890, and so I was like doing the math and then converting it from negative to positive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Math is not it's not my thing anymore.
But don't get confused here, Jaren, but we're gonna skip this next team. We're going from Purdue. We're gonna skip the next team. We're gonna talk about Valpo. Okay. That cool with you?
I've scrolled on my notes. I've got,
I know, anytime
Valpo on the screen. Well, I remember to scroll back up.
Anytime we go out of order, things get bad. So Valpo went up from 249 to 235. They went 1-1 this week. That brings them to 5-2 overall. So they took their first loss at home this season to Southern Indiana. They lost 64-56. And then they followed that up with a pretty dominant performance against Western Michigan, 84-55.
Yeah, I mean, in-state matchups are always
tough.
They're tough, right? The game, it was a tough game, right? We'll get to talk about it twice, but it was really sad to see Valpo's home win streak, and I texted you. First off, I was like, man, if USI wins, it's gonna really fuck up our power rankings.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know what? We just said,
and then there it went. But then just like it was interesting because Valpo have not historically, but in recent past, they're holding their opponents to very few points. Right, talked about it last week, and that has been like a key to them winning their games. And this just wasn't the case. Yeah, they held Southern Indiana to 64, whatever it was. Yeah, 64.
But 64 is less than.
But 64
is more than 56.
Yeah. So it didn't work out, especially when they're playing at home. So it's like, okay, they're holding their opponents to low scoring at home.
Yeah.
But then you got to factor in, like, okay, well, you still got to.
And they got, Southern Indiana is a pretty old team, and Valpo's pretty young, especially the pieces that they like rely on. Like Cheney was 1 for 8. He didn't hit a 3 in this game. JT Pettigrew and Mark Brown Jr. were just, I don't know. I don't know what Southern Indiana's game plan was, but it seemed like let them just take all the shots because they tried. And this is their worst shooting performance since the very first game of last season. So in, 39 games or whatever it is, this is their worst shooting percentage at 29% from the field. And then again, a team getting a much needed bounce back win, handle Western Michigan and
then some.
Yeah. Shoot almost 20% better from the field and from 3 and 30% better from 3. So law of averages, I guess.
Something like that. I don't know. Not a math guy.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Anything else on last thing I have something else on Valpo. Just one thing I want to see is that they're still on a historic pace in terms of their performance so far, right? They are 5-2 overall, like we mentioned. Their best first 7 games since 2017. So I've talked about that the last few weeks. It's like, okay, this is the next best thing from dating back to 2017, and here it was again. And they also again held their opponents to less than 64 points with a 55 point defensive performance.
Yeah, so I'm glad they bounced back because like that was a game that made me very sad from the Valpo side, but then very happy from the Southern Indiana side.
Yeah.
Right. It's the worst type of thing that, you see is when like, oh, I'm really proud of this team, but it comes at this other team that we follow losing. But let's talk about our last team, Jaren, since we have it's gone out of order. If you can read, you know why.
Yeah,
out of order.
Yeah, and that's so we do have a special guest who will be joining us momentarily. But before that, just as we intro Southern Indiana, they did move up in Torvik 311 from 322. They did go 2-0 this week. They're 3-5 overall. They had a win over Valpo, like we just mentioned, 64-56. Then a win over Kentucky State, 93-56. And they are our Hickory Team of the Week. No other team this week, right, had a better performance than USI. Like we talked about, a lot of losses. USI, 2 wins, 2 big wins. They walked into Valpo's house. They did something no other team was able to do this season so far. Steal a win at home, especially being 8-point underdogs. So they went into the Valpo's crib, got the win, defied the odds there. They held Valpo to just 4 of 26 from 3, which is 15.4%. I did the math before I mentioned that.
No, you did. That was a head calc.
And then something no other team has done since Valpo's 2024-2025 season opener. So historic performance in that regard. They came out firing in the second half, 8-0 run to kick off to give them a 14-point lead. Didn't trail from there. Then they followed it up with a dominant win over Kentucky State. So we felt that deserved them the Hickory Team of the Week. And with that, like I mentioned, our special guest, we've got Coach Spru.
from from Southern Indiana himself. I almost said Indiana State for some reason. That would have been
Do it.
embarrassing. That
You do it.
ooh,
Can't
he
do
would have
it. You guys
left.
are always Screagles and all that stuff, man. You guys get me in trouble every time.
Coach, thanks for coming on. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you on after a win. We're sorry that it had to happen against one of our teams, but we're glad you guys got a win. That felt like a much needed, like weights off your back a little bit type win.
No doubt. I mean, it's hard. I feel like every time I come on here, I talk about it with you guys, but we got 12 new guys. We don't get a lot of home games, just from a scheduling standpoint. So there's a lot of growing pains, man. And I feel like this team has come a long way, versus a much improved, I think, Butler team. We obviously wanted a much stronger showing versus those guys, but I think they're a really good ball club. But when you got 12 new guys and you're not returning basically anything, and shoot, Josiah's out again. He broke his foot. He should be coming back soon. Braxton's been out, so I don't think we have one guy that's a returner, really that's doing much for us. So there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be, ups and downs, but I do think that we're trending in the right direction. And I think, our trip down to Florida, even though we didn't really like, obviously that we lost, but we competed like crazy against a really good Incarnate team. We fought back against UIC and cut it down to 5. This team's got some grit, it's got some resilience, and I think we just got to keep the head down and keep trying to trust process, and I think it's going to eventually pay off for us.
We're a, big transitive property show. We when we saw how Indiana played against Incarnate Word, we were like, oh, okay, like might be tough. And then you guys played them, pretty well too. It's like, oh, that's a moral victory for us.
Yeah,
We know you don't take moral victories, but we take them here.
I mean, it's a hard, and obviously everybody gets up for those games, right? Like, and that's not to take anything away from Incarnate. Our guys are the same, and that's why I think a little disappointing with the Butler result. Just with what it was. But I mean, we were outmatched, out physical. I mean, Michael Aji is an absolute animal.
Mhm.
He's going to do amazing things for them. But to go down to Florida, neutral court, not really know what to kind of expect with what it is. And, we're down 16 with 9 minutes to play and we fight back. It's a 6-point game. I think that's, we're on the kind of the same boat. We're not big on moral victories. We're not trying to, a loss is a loss, but at the end of the day, there needs to be steps in growth and in preparation. And then, to go out, and I think UIC is going to be a really good team this year. We lose by 11, but we cut it to 5. We were down 20 with 7 minutes to go, and our guys didn't quit or give up. So you just try to take kind of those small victories of what it is and try to build on it, and even prior to that, like we shouldn't have lost to VMI. We had
Mhm.
it, we're up 7.5, and they do a weird junky kind of full court matchup zone, and I think we kind of lost sight of the things that made us successful in the first half as far as offense and our pace. And and it's hard when you have a lead and you got a bunch of new guys. It's hard for that group to understand what winning is about, collectively, not individually. So I know it's not always the best thing, but the VMI one we'll probably look back on and say that was, disappointing. Going up to South Dakota on a one-off game is a tough place to play. It's a tough travel.
Tough trip.
It's a tough trip. But I mean, I think if you look at all of our games and you look at the progression of this team, I think in every game that we've played, we've gotten better in some aspect of what it is. And I think, that's all we can ask for. I think the hardest thing, and I've said it before on this podcast, us coming from D2 now to D1, and obviously we're far removed from D2, but when we used to do the GOVC, GLIAC, kind of cross over tournament at the beginning of the year. I mean, if you lose one of those games right off the bat to a team that you're not supposed to lose to, that you're not making the NCAA tournament. So
Yeah.
we're playing. Gosh, and no disrespect to anybody out here, but you lose a game to Malone, your first game of the year. Well, that's going to hold a serious amount of weight as you go to that NCAA tournament with your regional rankings. And I think now the hardest thing for us to kind of do is have that adjustment of, all right, we need to be playing our best ball come whenever our conference starts, December 18th, December 20th, whatever it is. And I know our fans probably don't want to hear that. We need to win, and obviously you want to keep morale high, but it's so hard now with so many new guys, just the landscape of what it is and what you try to emphasize, what you can emphasize in the time that you have. Um, it's baby steps, and you got to celebrate minor victories when you can have them, and you got to, encourage these guys when they do things good, even though, the outcome of that game's not where you want it to be. And I think that's the hardest thing, because at the end of the day, we obviously, shoot, you guys know, we go into the Duke game, we're expecting to beat Duke. We're probably not
Right,
going,
right.
but that's just us
Hey,
as
you were at one
competitors.
point.
Hey, I sent you the text the other day, man. It was the anniversary, but I think that's the hardest thing, is just understanding kind of the ebbs and the flows of it, and how can we get this group right now as good as they can be going into the OVC, because that's, at the end of the day, it's pretty much all that matters for us.
You know, I crunched the numbers, all right? So I did a little number crunching, and specifically on your trip to Florida, I found that there's one common denominator between all those games that you lost that caused you to lose. And that's because you guys didn't meet our challenge and invite me and Jaren down to hand out sweat towels and carry bags and be the added help, whatever we needed. So I'm
We
just
need a free
saying,
throw. We need a free throw coach. What was
yeah,
that? The other day when who was it? Penn State Rhodes came out and said he needs to fire the free throw coach.
that's
Free throw coach. I mean,
we
that's
would
like,
have we would have been out there.
it's the craziest thing, man. Like, and obviously you go neutral sites. I mean, we've struggled to shoot the ball, and we've struggled to shoot the ball at the free throw line. You look at that UIC game. I mean, we're 20% from three. We're 40% from the free throw line. If you go 30 and shoot even 60,
Yeah.
that lead down, you've given yourself a chance to win. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably the toughest pill to swallow, but it's also an easy one, because it's easily fixable by us, by coaches. It's not it's not a lack of talent or anything like that. We got to get in the gym. These guys got to get shots up, and they got to be confident in what they do. Um, we did have new manager crew down there, so maybe that was a telling factor. We could have had you guys down there for the bad guys, helping us out. But Daytona is not that fun in November. It's not as fun as when we were at the CBI and it was the middle of spring break and our guys were out and just being wild. It's kind of a ghost town, so it was a little bit
That's
different.
okay. We weren't going to be there for fun. We were there to lock in.
Yeah, we
right?
weren't. We were expecting to go down and be put to work.
Hey, it was a whirlwind, because Aldi had that first game, so he had Incarnate as a scout, and then basically we did half and half. I did all the player personnel for High Point, who's really good. High Point is really.
Yeah.
So I did player personnel for that, and then Aldi did all the plays. We obviously live scouted, and then I had all the UIC ones. So quick turnaround. Did get some beach time, which was nice. Got a couple walks on the beach. Hard, was away from my family that was like 6 days
Yeah.
away, like Tuesday to Sunday. So that was a little bit of an adjustment, but I think our guys understood what it was, and like I said, a little bit different when we went down there for the CBI, man. Like, the season was over. Like, Trevor Lakes was out of school like 2 days after we lost, man. Like, those guys were down in the clubs down there. I mean, it was a totally different experience, guys. Focused on on playing a game. And I thought our guys did a really good job while we were down there, understanding what it was, and, coming out ready to go. And like I said, it's obviously disappointing that we couldn't get, one, but, Valpo is kind of included with that MTE. Valpo put obviously some money up for that. So for us to go 1-2 in an MTE with higher caliber teams, I mean, that's big for us, and I think that's really what it boils down to. In years past, we did St. Bonaventure's Bowling Green, Notre Dame. We went 1-2. We should have done better on that Duke trip. We had LaSalle beat. We were competitive with Bucknell. I think we were up at half, and then obviously Duke winning at half.
Never
You
forget.
know, it, it, it it's just hard. It's hard. Scheduling's hard, and a lot of the bad teams in the Midwest are all in the OVC, so you're looking at
Yeah.
that, and obviously you can't get SWAC schools. So got to be road warriors whenever it comes. And obviously, I mean, you guys know we have a monetary, budget that we have to hit, for our university as being a revenue generating sport. So, being able to go 1-2 in an MTE and take home a little bit of money is not a bad thing.
You are getting some love in our YouTube chat. Braden Howard's coming out shouting out Coach Spru. He's happy to see you. He says go
Oh,
Skrig. So
let's go. Hey, Screeks, we gotta go Screaming Eagles, man. We're gonna upset some people on here. Come on, man.
Okay.
All the positivity is gonna be out the window, man.
I just can't let it go. I'll hang on to it forever.
I've done my best to avoid saying it. Screaming Eagles is
It's
what
hard. It's hard, man. I came down here. I think it was my first interview with ESPN down here, and I said like UIndy or something, and people are upset that I said UIndy, and I said like Screegs, and people are upset that I said Screegs, and it was just like it was a whole like whirlwind of like got to adjust, I got to adjust because we'd always referred to ourselves as UIndy, but I think there's still so much like people still call us Southern Indiana University. Like,
huh.
I mean, there's still obviously, the Indiana State stuff of Evansville and, kind of all that stuff. So, I mean, that's the crazy thing. We're such a young university in all regards, not just being a D1 team, that so many people don't even know, what we got. But I mean, shoot, we're almost 5 times, 6 times bigger than the school down the road. So we'll just keep growing.
No kidding. We did put the feelers out. Hey, if you invite us down to your MTE, we'll champion for you. If Evansville invites us to theirs, might have a little preference there. We got no love, so I guess we'll just keep the road we were going. But I want to talk a little bit about we want to talk about Valpo. Obviously, that's what we mainly have you on here to talk about, because like that was a pretty good win. Do you have like do you do anything different to prep the team for a road game like this Valpo one? Because Valpo was obviously on a hot streak. You guys, were coming off of your MTE done in Florida. Like, do you do anything different? Like, obviously morale could be low after felt like you should have got those. Like, what do you do there?
I mean, I think that's the hardest thing for us as coaches of just, like I said, we're disappointed that we lost, but we got to keep these guys in a good headspace moving forward. And like I said, if you watch those 2 games, there was some good stuff that you could take away from those 2 games, and I think
Mhm.
that's what we try to kind of harp on. I would say the biggest thing for us, especially as we're going on the road, I mean, we're obviously blessed with our facility, and our arena is super nice, but we'll go shoot in our practice gym probably more, give them a different eye line. Um, not to take away anything from Valpo's gym, but just give them a different look
Mm-hmm.
for what it is to just get them comfortable. We had to make an adjustment. We were playing with a Spalding ball down in Florida, so we wanted to get back. Valpo uses Nike balls. I mean, it's just the craziness of the college game where people can get any type of advantage they can get, whether that's switching to basketball, whatever the case may be. So we want to get back, shooting with the Nike balls, but our approach really remains the same, and obviously I know we're going to talk about the non-D1 stuff as we move forward, but I think for us as a staff with what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build, I think the best teams I've ever been a part of have always treated whomever it is as the same, and I think that consistency in how you treat an opponent, how you bring your prep, I think that's what separates really good teams. And I think these guys going into this game, obviously us having a bunch of Chicago kids, I mean, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's was there. They were closer, going into Thanksgiving break. Um, I think our guys were hungry and ready, to get one done. And I think, Aldi had this scout. He did a great job, and obviously we'll get into some of that stuff. But our approach isn't really any different, whether it's Valpo or Loris. We need to take
Mhm.
everybody the same, and especially now as we go through that non-conference, it's about taking steps and building it up to where we want to be. So individual challenges of what it is and game plans and scouting reports that will never change from our standpoint. And obviously, like I told you, whether it's Duke, Michigan State, or Valpo, our approach as coaches is the same for what it is. We think our game plan can help us win, and we go into these games expecting to win. So nothing really changes on our end of what it is. I do think, you know, Valpo obviously having some Chicago guys closer to some of those dudes. You know, UIC, there was kind of a different fire in Tolu and Ish, you know, kind of as that game
Mhm.
went on.
Yeah.
That is a little bit of, you know, as the portal kind of goes around and around, you know, you come across these guys that you played against 2, 3 years, or you played them back in high school. I do think our guys get up for that a little bit more, maybe than they used to. But, you know, from us, from a coaching standpoint, you know, we're going into that thinking that we can beat them. You know, looking at the ways that we can exploit them and what they do. You know, and obviously they were on a roll. Kind of contrasting styles from what we are. You know, I
Yeah.
think they're one of the slowest teams in the country in pace. I think we're in the top 40 right now in pace. So a game where we felt like we could do us and do us better. And I think that's, you know, I think the hardest thing in this business is you just try to look at your opponent, look at your opponent, look at your opponent, and you forget about, well, shoot, what can we do better? And we
Mhm.
saw a lot of areas where we need to be better. I mean, we're not scoring the ball nearly enough, you know, for us to really, you know, I think be that top team. You know, but I think that's the hardest thing. You can look at Valpo and you can say all this stuff, but I think when you look at our, you know, advanced analytics of what it is versus theirs, you know, that style of play that they want to do is totally opposite of what we want to do, you know, and I think that helped us.
Yeah, when you're talking about game planning, right? You know, you game plan the same way every game. But when you're doing that, do you ever look at the kind of with a micro lens of like, okay, we think that, you know, Tolu's gonna have a great matchup. Maybe we, you know, tailor things to that, or Ish, right? He's gonna have a great matchup. Let's maybe focus around that a little bit. Do you ever look at that from like that microscopic of a frame?
Oh yeah. I mean, no doubt. And I mean, specifically for Valpo, like, I mean, we're usually a 1 through 4 switch team. We only want to switch 1 through 3 just because JT and Sean, once they get in there, all they want to do is post up. They're not lifting out of there. Um, you know, I'm not sure if we expected to have 9 blocks, you know, but like
Mhm.
their shooting numbers coming into this, I think they were, I don't know, 31%, something like that going into the game. I mean, we went under ball screens and we were going to force those guys to have to shoot tough contested shots, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
did an amazing job, I thought, on Cheney. Really took him out of the game, and we kind of had honed in on him and Sean. You know, take those guys out. Obviously, limit Sean's, you know, big playability with putback dunks, stuff like that. You know, I think we ended up out rebounding him by 3 or 4, but 51 or 52 rebounds for a game is unbelievable. You know, but like, yeah, I mean, we're always looking at what we can exploit, obviously, offensively and defensively. Like, we're still trying to get, I think, a little bit more consistency, you know, from T and from O. You know, I thought Ben gave us really good minutes coming off the bench, but you know, I mean, shoot, Tolu is fresh off 16 and 14 against UIC.
Yeah.
I think a guy by the end of the year that we're talking about that's leading the country in rebounding just because of who he is, you know, and I think
Right.
Ola will be that. But yeah, I mean, we're always looking, you know, matchups. What can we exploit? Obviously, with them being a little bit more pack line, we thought we could take advantage of corners, them helping on rolls, you know, and it just so happened Ish got just absolutely hot in the first half, and then it just became a battle in the second half, you know, defensively, and needed to rebound. And I thought our guys took on that challenge really well. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at everything down to the smallest detail of, you know, when these guys come in, what is our adjustment? You know, who can we attack when they come in? You know, and obviously, I'm going to totally blank on his name. He started the other day, the D2 kid who came off the bench for Valpo Whitaker. I mean, he played really well, but I'm going to live with tough contested mid-range twos all
Right.
night. You know, and obviously you guys know the analytics of the game has changed so much. Like, hey man, if you want to beat us with fadeaway mid-range shots, so be it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Hey, contest it. You know, he's gonna miss a couple of those, limit him to one shot, and you know, we're gonna push the ball down and we're gonna try to score as quick as we can.
And you guys have a former Valpo. I mean, he made a stop in between, but got a kid who was at Valpo two
Ola's
years
been, we're
ago.
just taking a tour, you know, around Ola's whole entire college career, you know. So he got a little bit of the Central Michigan because Shane Harriman was on staff. He's
Yeah.
obviously now at Incarnate. Obviously Valpo, and then we'll obviously see Tennessee Tech here as we
Uh-huh.
go. So just trying to give him really his college experience, you know, in our non-conference.
He's really got to, give him his chance.
Yeah.
For us, we obviously um do a lot of guessing when it comes to who's going to be good. That's especially like a team, like yours, where you're pulling people from all levels, and it's like I don't know if 19 points in JUCO is going to be 19 points in the Ohio Valley. I don't know what that's going to look like. It definitely could, but you know, Habib has been like your best offensive threat. I mean, so far this season, and that's a guy that you know played at Portland State for 2 years, and like he wasn't the first guy that I was looking at to be, kind of your number one option. Would have been nice if you would have tipped me off or something, but was that something that like, when you recruit these guys, obviously I don't want you to come on here and be like, oh yeah, we just picked him up, just accidentally happened. He's just actually really good. But is that something that like you saw early on, or you saw when you were recruiting, we're like, hey, we think he can be something special?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Ish since, and people always make fun of me because I was recruiting Terrence Shannon my last year at
Oh my
at
God.
Lewis University, but people don't realize Terrence had broken his leg playing football, and by the time his senior year, spring had come around, it was really, I think he had us and maybe a D1 offer, and then he decides to go to IMG and obviously blows up, and it is what it is. But Ish was a freshman on that team, and Pat Gordon, his coach, thought that he was going to be really good. And Ish has gone through a lot. His brother got shot, was part of gang violence in Chicago. Out of high school, he did a prep year, then he went to Rio Grande Valley. His brother gets shot. He goes back to Chicago. He does a year at South Plains. He does his 2 years at Portland State. So I've known Ish for a really long time. Have recruited him, have talked to him kind of every time he's been in the portal, and I think it was always we weren't D1, and everybody wants to
Hmm.
go D1, and that's fine. And I think this year when his name came across that ticker, that he was in, it was an immediate phone call to him, to his representation, to his family. We got him down. I think he was one of the first guys that came down to campus. And you look at him and just his body of work, and obviously the things that he's gone through, his maturity and his leadership is obviously further than his years. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
not many
Yeah.
people his age have gone through the stuff that he's gone. But I think what stood out to us obviously the most, if you Google him, his late game ability and the amount of game winners he hit when he was at Portland State, I think he had like 4 or 5. He's built for that moment. 36% from three over 2 years. Obviously, we think that within our system, and you guys have seen firsthand that we've taken guys that shot 19% in the SWAC to up to
Hmm.
almost 30%. Just by doing nothing really, just giving him the confidence to be that guy. And I think that he's really embraced this staff, what we're kind of about. I'm wearing my Spruce hat right now, family over everything, and I think that's really what it is. And we try to instill confidence in these guys for them to be the best to what it is. We recruit all these guys for a job. To your point about the JUCO stuff, like Calipari came out like the other day and was like, I'm only recruiting 8 guys and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know if we have that luxury
Yeah.
Right.
because there's so much parity between it, like no disrespect, like Brax was 20 a game and he was 6 a game for us last year, right? Damani was shoot 9 or 10 at tally and he's 15 for us. I don't know if there is a direct correlation at any level of what it is. And obviously, you hope that production, and I think this is the first year that we've really been able to hone in on Division I production. Guys that have played, guys that have impacted winning to an extent. Um, but I think we always knew who Ish was and what he could be. Maybe not like 21 points a game, but I think from his
Yeah.
leadership point and what he brought to the table, shooter shoot, 36%. I think he's 35 for us right now. I think he can be up a little bit. Obviously, we've struggled shooting a little bit, but he's not afraid of that moment, and I think that's the biggest thing of watching his tape, and obviously where he's come from and his family and everything has helped him, get to this. But I do think, and this isn't a knock on anybody. I do think that there is something to be said about staffs that actually, I don't want to say actually care, but care about their student athletes more than just putting the ball in the hole and giving them that confidence and understanding that, whatever you're going through, whatever time, and you guys know, man, we've been through some shit in this program. It was Campion's dad's situation, or there's just been a lot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but we're always there. You know what I mean? Like that will never change. And I do think that that's getting harder with the current landscape. And I still talk to Damani, Steven, and Jaren. Those are my guys. I recruited
Yeah.
them. Um, I mean, you can say what you want. All those guys, Steven's playing like, I think he's played like 5 minutes the entire year.
Yeah.
Damani's not what he did for us. Jran's on a really good team, undefeated, is putting up some numbers, but that shooting has dropped back down somewhat significantly. So I think there's something to be said for fit, staff, culture, guys that are going to give you that confidence to go with it. But, Ish has really run with the rope that he's been given, and obviously he's earned it. He was one of our best guys during the summer. Vocal leader, we're obviously going to have the ups and downs with 12 new guys, but he's been a consistent guy from day one, and obviously never gonna be mad at 20 points a game. So if he wants 30, go for it, my guy.
Like, I don't know. That's just so cool how, like, every time I feel like I ask you about somebody, like we ask you about somebody, you're like, yeah, I've known him since, I've known him like 8 years and 9 years.
It's so
Oh,
much of
wow.
what it's so much of what it has to be now, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just I put it like this, and like this is probably like too blunt of a way to say it, but like when I was at Lewis University, like we actively recruited against Western Illinois and Eastern Illinois, right?
Hmm.
Like, and man, like I'll pull up the last 4 years, like this is how many games they've won, and no disrespect to anybody out there. That's just a statistic of what it is. Like, here's their attendance. Like, is this what you want to do, or do you want to come here with the chance? And Bellarmine took the same approach, right? Bellarmine got all those D1 guys because he sold them on being top 5 in the country and going to the NCAA and potentially winning a D2 national championship.
Right.
So we're kind of now in that boat, right? But like D2 landscape has changed a lot. Um, obviously the NIL space has caused it to change a lot, but the OVC is such a low level for whatever, right? Like competitive wise, like strength of schedule, like all these things, we will always be a one bid league. Like it don't matter. It don't matter. But we are pretty low down on the totem pole. So when you start recruiting high school guys or you start recruiting portal guys, yeah, like if you're good enough, you're going to have better offers, right? And
Yeah.
if we recruit high school guys in Chicago, well, they probably already have a Bradley, they probably have an Illinois State, they probably have an Indiana State. Like
Yeah.
the landscape of what it is. And then that second tier kid, you really want this kid up here, but he's already got Missouri Valley. Maybe he's got an A10 offer. Maybe he's got like a SLU or something like that. Well, then the second level kid, maybe he's got an Eastern, maybe he's got a couple D2s, and then you look at it and you say, okay, well, like I think we can go out and get a guy that in the portal that's better, right? But I'm still
Yeah.
going to talk
Right.
to a kid that's got St. Louis and Bradley and all those guys for when that situation goes to shit, which more often than not today, everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
That kid knows me. He has an understanding of who I am. He has an understanding of what the program is, and has a little bit of relationship going back to it. And I think, like I said, I think that's the hardest thing for me kind of moving forward in this space because again, I talk to Stephen, Jalen, and Damani every day. My wife talks to them every day.
And
Those
that's
guys congratulate me on the birth of my son. They're on FaceTime talking about what it's like. Those are my guys. But they still walked into the office and said, "Hey, I'm out." And we
Right.
won games, you know. And it's hard. It is so hard to kind of wrap your mind around the 6 to 8 month kind of lease, if you will, right?
yeah.
Like, you don't have the Milkies, you don't have the Trevor Lakes, the Polakoviches, those guys that are 4 or 5 years in your program and you're
Mhm.
watching them grow up and all that stuff. Like it's a challenge, man. Now you might recruit a kid for 3 to 4 years, but you might only have 6 months to coach him, and that's a whole nother thing. But you still try to pride yourself on what it is, man. And I think it's getting lost a lot. you know, the Lane Kiffin stuff today, like basketball stuff, like we're still in higher education for a reason, you know, and the NIL space has made this insane where I worry about this generation of student athletes just from a standpoint of actually having a job and people talking to them in a way that they don't like. And,
Right.
you know, hey guys, like you guys have been around, like every day is not a sunshine and roses for me.
Yeah.
You know, like I get talked to in a way, and what am I going to do? Well, I'll just put my name in the portal. Well, that's not a real thing in the real world. It's just what
It's
it
called
is. So I
Indeed.
think the more,
Indeed.
yeah, I think the more these kids can kind of learn, and it's hard, you know, and I think the only thing that really makes sense to them right now is just that professional aspect of, hey man, you can go be a pro and all this stuff. But like, you know, I think I told to the guys this summer, like again, I'm wearing my Spruce hat. Like Max is unbelievable. Max gets paid $76 million to do two things: shoot threes and play defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he's not tween cross behind the back doing all this stuff. He has two things he needs to do, and he's made $76 million.
Right.
And all these kids who have come from all these different places, not just us, like they've all known or they've all been across somebody, especially you start talking about Chicago kids, DC, you know, like huge metro areas. You've all met somebody that you've said, man, this kid's going to make it. He's going to make it. But he doesn't. And he doesn't make it because he has a hard time adjusting to what it is that actually needs to be done. Right. Well, I need to be handle the ball, dribble. I think Shire came out a couple of weeks ago and said, if you're not a lottery pick, no NBA exec is looking at anything else other than your usage rate. Right. So NBA teams are paying $300 million to James Harden, who has a usage rate of like 95% or whatever it is. It is the same way. Okay, well, they want to get guys on the roster that have low usage rates, but high efficiency numbers.
Right.
So when you impact the game when you don't have the ball in your hands, because guys, you're not a $300 million guy. And I'm sorry to say that, you know, and you might get offended by it, but I learned a long time from Trost, my boss at Lewis. He said, don't mistake honesty as negativity. And I think that's especially now in this generation, like, good Lord, right? Hey man, don't shoot anymore, right? You're shooting 20% from three. Don't shoot. Man, coach isn't letting me play my game. No, I'm just you know what I'm saying? Like, and
Telling you
that's
what your game is.
I think that's the hardest thing with all this stuff, because shit, and especially for us, our best players are going to leave, right?
Yeah.
Our best players are going to leave. I mean, I'm not afraid to say this. Last year, we paid those top three guys between, and it's similar to what I had told you guys about Graves and Swope and all those guys. Like, we paid those guys, I think it was those three were getting combined 25 grand last year. Those three are getting $1.3 million.
You're right.
Yeah.
One of those players will be more money than we will ever have in our NIL. So I'm not mad at those guys. I mean, if I got offered $300,000 to go someplace, I'm telling my wife, hey, you're either coming with me or you're not. But
coming with me or you're entering the transfer portal. Listen.
Right. Yeah. There's one. Yeah. Hey, right here. Portal. Here we go. It's just like, it's those things. And it's just, it's insanity, man. And I am worried about these dudes in the long run of the future, and just being able to handle a boss and working and understanding what it is, man. It's hard. It's hard. But I think that's something that I'll continue to try to pride myself on, is just that family atmosphere of what it is. And, you know, I've told you guys before, I want my son to be around these guys. Got the 6-month-old. He's trending to be more probably football player right now.
He's a big guy.
Every time I see a picture, I think about texting Adam and be like, man, that's a linebacker if I've ever seen one.
She's Bama through and through, man. We're raising the next Caden Proctor down here, man.
I know he's already outsized that onesie. He's
oh no, that thing was done in like
that was newborn for him.
Well, that was I asked my sister when I sent it, because I don't have kids. I asked like my sister and my mom was like, what size? Like, I'm giving this as a gift, right? A newborn. What size? So I said, I think I sent 3 to 6 months, maybe, just because like gives them time to grow into it.
A month,
and then you sent the picture like busted. A week after.
Busted at the seams.
And I saw it. I was like, oh, it fit well. Maybe. And I was thinking, okay, maybe the sizing is just off. We need to, figure out a different brand of
My baby
onesie.
is just fat.
And then the more pictures I see, I'm like, okay, yeah, it wasn't the onesie sizing. It's just he's a tank.
The craziest thing is Aldi's son is now he's either 14 or 15 months, and he's like 19 pounds, and Harlan is 6 months, and he just weighed like 26 or
Oh
27.
my gosh, dude.
Hoss. So yeah, we're gonna be working on some pass blocks,
He's the rare
not free
100th
throws.
percentile.
Yes.
That's
But that was
awesome.
like, so we're totally off tangent here. But so me and my wife, we go through IVF, we do everything, we do the genetic testing, all that stuff. And Harlan comes out and they put him down. And my wife swam in Alabama. She's probably 5'10, 5'11. I'm 6'4. And they lay him down and, they take the ruler out and they're like, 18 inches, he's in the 5th percentile.
Like,
And I'm just like, I'm flabbergasted where my mind is going and what is going through my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's just going to be this tiny little dude for his whole life. Like, what is
yeah.
going on? And we go to the doctor like 2 days later and they're like, oh yeah, he's like 99th percentile. And they measure him at like 23 inches. And I was like, I'm suing Deaconess for my mental.
That's so funny. I have my son's turning 2 in February, and whenever I take him to the doctor, like he's short, and like my wife's 5'6", I'm 6'2", but he's a little short. And every time I take him in, they're like, he's like 20, 30th percentile, and like the doctor's like, now it's not, now this like height is not really indicative of like how tall they're gonna be when they grow up. And I was like, she's trying to like tell me like he might not actually be short. She's trying to let me down.
I think that's how I was
right.
though. I was like 5'8" going into like my senior year, and then I grew to 6'4" over
I've
like a year and a half. So
That's how you ended up in the MIAA.
I've been 5'10" since the 6th grade.
Yeah, you peaked early, man.
Yeah, we were the same height, and then I grew like
you probably killed the presidential fitness test early.
Oh yeah. Well, then we had a buddy that we went to high school with that ended up playing D1 basketball for a year. He was like 6'5". Nate, how tall is he? 6'7". Yeah.
Oh,
6'7", maybe 6'5", 6'7".
6'5".
I was yeah. I was taller than him at one point, and I thought I was like, okay, this is good. And then we got to high school, and like end of the freshman year, he was a foot taller. I mean, I was like,
it's like that little league picture, right?
It's literally a picture of us as 12-year-olds where I'm like 2 inches taller than him, and then it's real demoralizing when that stuff like that happens.
He's also built more like Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
He's a little slim reaper, but let's I guess I don't know. I had a couple of questions, just like logistics things. So beginning of the season, when you are playing a team, how on earth do you scout that team? Like, are you pulling up JUCO footage? Like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, I mean, if they haven't had, like let's use Butler for instance, like Ufosa before he got hurt. Like I'm pulling up his like OT stuff, right? And like his clip tape is going to be him at OT. JUCO guys, kind of that same thing. And then, we've really only, when we did DePaul last year, that would have been Holtman's first year. So we were watching more of what Holtman was doing at Ohio State, obviously, thinking that, hey, he wouldn't really change too much. We kind of knew Mullins coming over, and Mullins being an offensive guy, we had played Carbondale, so we kind of knew what that was. But I mean, this year the Butler game was challenging because didn't have any tape, right? Like we didn't exchange tape. We didn't do anything. So, I got a high school guy to go and watch them, in that first exhibition against Notre Dame. And then obviously, we don't have anything on Indiana State, but you're kind of talking to coaches and what it is. And I mean, it's difficult, right? It's hard. Even, watching Mike at Gonzaga versus watching Mike when he was at Pepperdine, and now he's probably playing. He was at Pepperdine.
Completely different, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know if we were fully prepared just for how good, and how physical he is. But yeah, like Drayton Jones, we're watching like what he did at South Carolina State, right? Like Trayor, watching him at SMU, and Yame from Drexel. Like you're doing all that. Now when you get into it where it's a new coach, we obviously scrimmage IUND, so we're watching Ben's stuff from when he was at West Liberty, and obviously knew he wasn't going to change a whole lot. But you're kind of with Thad, with having so many new guys, you're probably not watching the end of the season stuff, right? Because that's 6-7 months and being able to install offense. You're probably going back to maybe their first
Okay.
5 games with maybe some at the end to just kind of see what it did. And obviously maybe that wasn't a good thing for me to do because we lost by like 30. Go back to the drawing board on that. But
Well, they're also
yeah,
a
man.
completely different team than they were last year in
Oh,
general.
and it's just impossible. It's impossible to know, what worked. Obviously, and like last year, they schemed so much for McDermott to get him shots, and obviously that's not what Michael is now at the 4 for them.
Right.
It's just hard. It's hard, But like you go into like, I mean, South Dakota had some games. VMI I think had played one before coming to us. But yeah, I mean, if those guys don't have tape, you're relying on, even like Stink for Butler. Like, yeah, I'm pulling up his like made hoop highlight tape on
His huddle. Yeah, that's so interesting because like, at a certain point, like you're just kind of rolling the ball out there and seeing what happens. Like, hey, this is our game plan for what we think we can do.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest thing of, like I said, when we were kind of like looking at Valpo and seeing what we need to do, it's like you also can't forget about what we need to do. And I think on almost every one of my scouts that I say, do us better, right? And like, don't lose the fact of like, yeah, guys, like, here's the offensive sets. And obviously, from a Valpo standpoint, not the most intricate of stuff, right? Ball screen motion, I do the horns, they're looking high-low. Okay, but we need to do us better, right? Like we need to guard the way that we know we can guard, and we need to then score more than 28 points and a half. But, I think that's the hardest thing, especially with those earlier games, is like, I think I pulled for the Butler game. I think I pulled up the old Driscoll highlight when he was at North Florida and they're in the NCAA tournament. And he's like, between the lines, dudes are dudes, ballers make plays. And at some point in those early games, hey, I don't have film. I have a draw up that a high school coach gave me, but I don't have film on that play. So, hey man, go out there and figure it out. And maybe that, like I said, maybe that wasn't good advice.
Yeah. Just don't let him in the lane. You'll be all right.
Just as a side note, this is what would you rather have? 28 points in a half or 36 points in a game?
It's a lot of shade being thrown at my boy Mike Lewis right now.
The thing is, I love, but they dropped 100 the next day.
In the first half, 15. They had 15 in the first half.
I think so.
I think at that point
we had some performances this week.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact half by half breakdown.
I think I might be up off the bench getting some popcorn.
Well, Indiana State dropped 16 in the first half against Alcorn State, so we've seen some.
Yeah, and that wasn't shade at Mike. I loved the hire to Ball State. I have my degree from there. I know a lot of people.
You're trying to walk it back a little bit.
No, I'm just asking. Like it.
It's twofold, because if we did 28 and we lost, that's like, so you go 28 and a half and you win. If you go 37 in a game and you win, which would be unheard of, but
those are like the scores you see when it's like the historical, like IU versus the YMCA.
Stall the whole game, 4 corners. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a big proponent, man, of, especially with just the way the game is now. I think guys are too good. Like, I'm in the Howlett mindset of, hey man, and Nate Oates and those guys and Hurley, like, we're gonna score 100, and if you can keep up. But the statistical data, if you hit 80 before the other team of what you do and, the wins that you have, I would much rather be, and even if you look at our games last year when Camp went on that run with 9 assists and stuff, we were scoring 88, 89, 83, 80. Like, hey, man, keep up. But it's much harder when you start talking about grinding out games. And obviously we've talked about our close games at length, for our program. I would much rather have a cushion of understanding what it is. And hey, see if you guys can keep up with what it is. And I think that's the hardest thing. You look at a team like Valpo is just going to grind, 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 try to slow that game down, muck it up, and then they'll like, I think what did they have against Cleveland State? 85. I think they scored 84 last night.
Yeah.
But they're right around that 70 mark.
84,
Yep.
55. That's what the
Like,
score.
it's hard to win games consistently when you're in the upper 60s and 70s, and
Yeah.
it's also hard to score and have these guys run offense because there's just I think you can talk to any coach in the country, and unless you are rampantly cheating during the summer, and obviously people are, 4 hours a week is not enough time for you to
Right.
install defense, install your offense. Like, then it's 4 hours again, and then you get 30 practices, 42 games prior to your first game. Like, you got to understand what you want to emphasize, what you can't emphasize just because you don't have the time. Because back in the day when you had 10 dudes returning and you're only trying to teach 2 guys what it is, like, yeah, man, we can teach everything in the world because everybody already understands what it is. But like I said, I mean, we have 12 new dudes. Like, we were trying to press more, we're trying to deny more. So that's a totally different defensive system than we've really ever been. And offensively, we're trying to be a little bit more motion based because we felt like last year, plays would break down and Tamani would get the ball and everybody else would just stand around and watch Tamani try to
Yeah.
score. Just trying to be harder to guard. But there's not enough time in the world to get 12 guys, let alone 15 dudes from all different areas, from all different teams, from all different styles, to kind of understand what it is. And I think you see that in these offensive numbers of just like, you're going to have good days. And I mean, shoot, like we played Kentucky State last night. We couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in the first half, but you couldn't yell at the guys because they're wide open threes against their 2-3 zone. But we're like, oh, for 14. I mean, we shot 42 of them last night. Like,
Two open. Yeah, dude, I saw that. That was nuts.
But like, it's like, I mean, it's just hard. Like, it's hard to get these guys to understand how to play the game just because they've been at. I mean, shit, Ola's been at 3 other schools, a prep school. Like,
Yeah.
it's all different. But
Well, that
I'm gonna take 28 in the dub, man. I'm gonna take 28 in the dub. I'm not going 37 in L.
That's fair. That's fair. I guess speaking of yesterday, right? When it comes to playing, the non D1 schools, every year, right? You've always got a couple. What's kind of the mentality? Is it we better not lose this game? Is it let's just go out there and see what we can do to get ready for the tougher opponents? Like what is that kind of approach and mentality?
I think it's a little different because I've been on the side of being a D2 guy and going to play those D1s, and I was privileged enough to beat Porter twice when he was at Loyola. We actually beat Valpo my first year when I was with G at UND. So I think first and foremost, we are cautious. We are cautious in scheduling. A lot of the guys and the teams that we have played are guys that, we play Loris because Aldi used to work there. Martin's a good friend of ours. He's not looking for a ton of stuff. He's just looking to come in and get his guys an experience. We played Shawnee State, and that's Michael Hunter, who's now at Cleveland State. He was also at St. Mary's before McClung got the job, who's now at Valpo. So we are cautious from a coaching standpoint of not. I mean, shoot, we almost lost to Tiffin a couple years ago, and now Tom Church is at Northwood, who just beat Western a couple weeks ago. We're cautious in that regard, right? I don't want to be on the wrong end of that scheduling.
At least it doesn't sink your season, like when you're in the D2, or any.
Right. But I mean, it's just like, I mean, we did that, like, and obviously when we were at Lewis, man, we were good. When we were at UND, we were good. And so it's just like, man, like I would never in my life. That'd be like us like scheduling like West Liberty or Nova. Like,
Right.
Nah, not doing it.
No thanks.
Right.
No, thank you. But I think it's twofold, right? Like, we are in the OVC, we are getting offered money to play at people's places, not doing home and homes, right? Like, I think we're going to get a couple more in-state home and homes moving forward next year.
Maybe down the road.
We got a contract with Ball State.
What about like close, like even closer than that?
No, they're not. They're not doing.
We're hopeful.
Ziggy, I guess, called out John Mark in a Rotary meeting the other day, so they're supposed to have a phone call. But I mean, they still want a 2-for-1, and we've only ever done one 2-for-1, which was Carbondale. Our schedule was done. Our president said that we needed to have a opening week home game versus a D1, and I scrambled
Huh.
to try to get it done. And Mullins had said, "Hey, man, the only way I'm going to do this after, good Lord, 2 months." I mean, I think I talked to Pat Monahan more than I spoke to my wife during all this time trying
Yeah.
to get it done. But really, that's the only ever 2-for-1 we've ever done. You know, Purdue Fort Wayne looks like a 2-for-1, but that first year they paid us money to be in that tournament with I think it was East Texas, us,
Oh, okay.
UPY when Crenshaw was still there, and then
Yeah.
obviously played them and they beat the brakes off of us. You know, and then that turned into a home and home, you know, because they paid us that first year. So we've never really gone down that route of the 2-for-1 besides that one. And obviously, hey, if Graves can do it, if Ball State can do it, if IU Indy can do it, then I don't fully understand what they think the separation is from other teams that are willing to
Right.
do. We're trying to work that out with him right now to re-up the 4-year contract moving forward. Obviously, the Valley, there's some red tape with just their strength of schedule and what they got to do, but work that out. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you
I
guys
mean,
pay those non-D1 teams?
pennies. I
Nice.
mean, I think the max. I think
Give
the
them a
max
dinner.
is $5,000. We'll throw in some hotels, and yeah, we'll do a single topping pizza, Papa John's,
Really?
not Tyroni's, because Tyroni's is too expensive. So, yeah,
Oh,
but I think
I thought you guys are paying the fat Tironi dollars down there, man.
man, one pizza over there is like $40 now. We ain't doing that. Get a $7.99 pepperoni, baby. Keep it cool. But I think for us, obviously the OVC in years past has cut down our number of non D1s. I think we started at 4, now we're down to we were down to 2 last year. I think we're up to 3. I think that number is probably going to go up back to the 4 just with conference. We're probably dropping to 16 games next year unless we add anybody.
Oh yeah.
It's just hard, right? And I know our fans don't want us to play East West. I know they don't want it, but Northwestern's playing East West, right?
Yeah.
So, hey man, that's a Big Ten school playing them, right?
Yeah.
And it is
They're
it is
just like us
hard.
for real.
Yeah, scheduling is hard, man. But I think when you go into these games, especially from what we're trying to do, I think these games do obviously turn into more of we need to take a step in progression of what we need to do, right? Hey, we're not going to overlook this opponent by any means. We need to come out, we need to take care of business. This is what it is. I wouldn't say it's a win or else. I think just the talent disparity now, you know, obviously Loras being a D3, Kentucky State's not a overly competitive D2. Um, the talent disparity alone should get you the win, right?
Okay.
Now, always going to be those days where Kentucky State comes out and they hit 33s against us, and you're just going like, holy smokes, like what did we sign up for? They're not getting Papa John's pizzas after the game. There will always be, you know, those moments of what it is. But I think from us and what we want our players to do is understand, try your best to approach that, you know, and I think that's like a Saban thing, like, hey, approach every opponent the same, regardless if it's Duke or Loras, right? And that's a very hard thing to do, right? Human nature puts you two totally different spectrums of what that is.
Plus, you get to play in Cameron. You know
Yeah,
that
I mean
helps.
that was pretty cool. But trying to get these guys to understand, hey, we are using this as a stepping stone for what it is, right? And I even asked G the other day when we were coming back from Valpo, obviously after we won, I said, do you think we win? Do you think we beat Valpo if we don't go down to Florida and play how we played against Incarnate and UIC? And he said no. You know, so it's that kind of same process of what it is. Like, hey, the Valpo win needs to lead into a win against Kentucky State, which needs to progress us, right? Moving into Western Illinois, right? Or Western Michigan, excuse me, which needs to progress us going into Indiana State, which progresses us to East West. And then obviously we're in conference play and you're going into that, hopefully, again, going like this, trending up as opposed to kind of here. You know, so I think that's how we try to approach it. I don't think it's a threatening. If you guys don't win this game, the embarrassment and shame that you
If you
bring.
don't win this game, John Rothstein's gonna tweet about us.
Yeah. I I mean, he left out. He didn't tweet the bye game epitome of brutality after our game, but we can keep that hush hush.
Well, I mean, we're running along here. I don't want to keep you forever. We're gonna I mean, one thing I want to do with you before you get out of here, and then if you want to stick around or whatever you can, we're probably gonna wrap up here soon. But we have decided that you are being roped into our guess the game this week. So you're gonna. I don't know how we want to do this, Jaren. Do we want to have I have a guess and he has a guess, and then he has a guess and you have a guess? For each, like you eat.
I
There's
don't know,
two
man.
guesses.
This is your plan. I figured you
Or
thought
you
this
can work,
through.
or we can work together, right? We can work together, right? We can be a two people trying to solve one clue.
I think
You
that's
know,
fine.
be a little asterisk on the record. We'll see. We're both 1 and we're both 1 and 3, so we're pretty bad. Either at guessing or giving clues. So I guess you'll be the outside source giving us real time feedback. But why don't we? Why don't I'll give my clue? I think it's my turn to go first.
Yeah,
I'll give my clue, and you guys can see if you can work it out together. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me pull it up here real quick. So you guys are gonna work together. See if you can figure out what game I'm talking about. So my guess the game this week is the Sunshine State Coastal Clash.
Oh God.
Now you've got the benefit, Jaren, that he probably knows more Division I teams than we do. So the Sunshine State Coastal Clash.
Well, Florida.
Right. It's got to be.
Got to be.
Florida Gulf Coast has to be one.
That's what I was thinking. Florida Gulf Coast, and then knowing Adam,
it's got to be somebody not in the ASUN if they're playing. So what Florida?
That's not going to help Jaren at all.
That's not
going to help him at all.
Some of those conferences.
Do we get told if one of them is? If we guess Florida Gulf Coast, do you tell if that's correct?
I mean, I can if you would like me to. Usually, I wait until
Yeah,
usually you guess both,
and
then I'll tell you if you got one right.
So
remember, in my clues, the words are very specific. The Sunshine State Coastal Clash.
Is there another school with coastal in the name in Florida? Is it, or it could be? Is Coastal Carolina in the ASUN?
No.
Because knowing Adam's brain, it could be Florida Gulf Coast, Coastal Carolina, but the game is in Florida. But I don't know.
I mean, that would make
sense. I don't usually reference where the games are. That's your forte.
That's true. That's fair. What other schools in
Florida Gulf Coast playing a high major in Florida?
It could be, but
you're barking up the right tree with Florida. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much. I wouldn't expand your thoughts here beyond that.
So that would mean Coastal Carolina would be out.
Right. Yeah.
What are the high majors? Florida State,
Florida State, Miami. But I feel like Coast is in the name, but I don't know any other colleges. And right, but
Gulf Coast got to be a lock.
Right, but I feel like there's another school with Coast in the name is what I mean.
I'm gonna go Florida State, Florida Gulf Coast, Sunshine State, Coastal.
You okay to lock that in, Jaren, or do you have a different guess? I'll give you two guesses. If one of you gets it, I'll give it to you. We got Florida State, Florida Gulf Coast is one guess.
Yeah.
You locking that in?
I think so, yeah.
Florida Gulf Coast is correct. Florida Gulf Coast is correct. Florida State is not correct. Would you like another one? There's another Florida team.
Power 4 or no?
No, but they've been good recently.
Florida Atlantic?
Florida Atlantic, Florida Gulf Coast. They're both on the coast.
Atlantic.
Gulf side, Atlantic side.
We
So
were
that
close,
yes,
though, man. We were close.
you guys are almost there. That's Florida Atlantic at Florida Gulf Coast, 2 p.m. on Sunday, December 7th. I tried to keep you. I was like, I can get you. I even looked at like the list. I was like,
See, I was thinking there was another school with coast in the name.
I was hoping
but
that would get you to like what school. I mean, most of them are on the coast, but like the Atlantic,
Yeah.
when you think of Florida, there's the Gulf side and the Atlantic side. But
Well, then
if you got to the Gulf Coast
South
side,
Florida.
you'd be like, what's on the other? What's on the other side?
I was thinking South Florida as an option.
The
Being
Daytona.
all right, I guess I'll give my clue now.
You know what? I just want to say props to Spru for talking you out of Coastal Carolina.
Well, when you said Coastal Clash or whatever, I was like, what other schools have coastal in their name?
No, just both coast sides of Florida.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. So with my clue, all right, we're gonna test how deep your rap knowledge goes with this college basketball crossover.
Oh, jeez.
My clue is we've got a rap devil and a kill shot on the horizon.
A rap devil. I mean, that makes you think of like rap god, right? Eminem, which also I guess would go with kill. That could work with kill shot too. On the horizon's got to be a Horizon League team.
Detroit.
It could be like
somebody with a devil. Arizona State. Duke.
Arizona State, but maybe it's like maybe there's a reference to Marshall in there because Eminem's name is Marshall. But what's their mascot? The
Thundering Herd.
Okay. Can you give us the clue again?
We've got a rap devil and a kill shot on the horizon.
Detroit Mercy.
One's got to be Detroit, right?
Yeah,
one's
gotta be.
You're on the right path.
Gotta be Detroit. Oh my God. I looked up. I feel like I was looking at Detroit Mercy for some reason.
Power 4?
They're in. So both teams are in the Horizon League. I'll tell you that. Conference play does start this week for the Horizon League.
I think IU Indy plays them. I think maybe IU Indy or PFW. I think one of them plays Detroit Mercy this week. There's got to be the other team. Okay. There's Wright State.
Those are what would be the devil.
Oakland. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Northern Kentucky. They're the Norse.
Shot. Or we're on the wrong side of it, and we should be thinking about the kill shot side.
Kill shot. What on earth? I'm struggling to think of a second.
Flames, the devil. Flames, UIC.
No, they're in the
they're in the valley now.
They're in the valley now.
Damn, I thought I had that one.
That would have been good. That would have been good.
I was feeling confident about that one.
This isn't as bad as when I locked in, said Devilish Priest, and I locked in DePaul, thinking that I was.
What's Robert Morris? What are they? Colonials?
Ooh. Yeah. Isn't it like, dude, I don't know. It's got to be Detroit Mercy, though, right? Got to be Detroit Mercy as one.
I'll tell you, yep. Detroit Mercy is correct.
Okay.
I don't even know who's in the horizon anymore.
Remember, I also said how deep your rap knowledge goes.
How deep your rap knowledge goes.
That was my precursor. The clue itself is standalone, but the reference is it's a rap and basketball crossover.
Could it just be Oakland? Or some famous rappers from Oakland. Everybody's from Oakland, right?
I don't
Kendrick
know.
from Oakland.
Kendrick?
Or is he from Compton?
It's from Compton.
Hey, those are close, right?
Yeah, the Bay Area, if you will.
I don't know. I don't even have a second guess.
Oh.
Can't be Robert Morris. Right State is the
They're like the dogs or something. Aren't
yeah,
they?
some sort of wolf thing. Um,
I mean, who's even? I don't. Who's even in it anymore? Oakland, Wright State, Robert Morris, IUND.
uh-huh.
Who else? Cleveland's. It's Cleveland State. What's
Yeah,
Cleveland State?
yes. What is their mascot?
I don't
Cleveland State.
know.
It's like always right in front of you, and then
Like the Vikings, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Cleveland State is the Vikings.
What on earth? This is bad. I don't know, man. We might just have to guess a random team in the horizon.
Who else are we missing from the horizon? Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky. How many teams is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7. Detroit, Oakland, Wright State, Robert Morris, IUND, Cleveland State, Northern Kentucky.
There's one more in the state of Indiana.
Ball State.
No, they're in the MAC. There's
Purdue, Fort Wayne.
Purdue, Fort Wayne. Yeah, but I don't see how that one would apply.
The Mastodons.
I was just listening off Horizon League teams at this point.
Is that all of them? Do I have all of them down?
No, I think there's like 3 more.
You got Youngstown, I think you're missing, Milwaukee, Green Bay.
Milwaukee, Green Bay.
There's 11 teams total.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who was the other one you said? Green Bay, Milwaukee, and who else you say?
Youngstown State.
Youngstown.
Penguins. Youngstown State, Milwaukee, Green Bay.
I'm a man. I thought this would be a lot easier than it has seemed to be.
Clearly. So did
Bad
I.
clues. Bad clues.
Oh, jeez.
Rap, Devil, and Kill Shot on the horizon. Rap, Devil.
So we have, I assume, the Rap Devil clue with Detroit Mercy, right? Kill Shot.
Kill Shot, because that's an Eminem song.
Is it just like IU Indie because they try and they trying to get kill shots? I mean, the 10-0 run or whatever. Like, that's probably my best guess. This is IU Indie. IU Indie, Detroit Mercy. I'm pretty sure they play because we have the I put the schedule for next week into our stuff. I want to log that in.
I'll go Oakland. I don't know.
You're both incorrect. It is Detroit Mercy.
Hold on. I don't know.
So Cleveland State. All right, Eminem, famously from Detroit. He made the song Rap God, but he had beef with another rapper by the name of MGK, who is very proud of being from Cleveland.
Yeah, I did not know he's from Cleveland.
Oh, he talks about it in like half of his rap songs ever.
I never liked any of his
That's fair.
songs.
That's fair. But Eminem and MGK beefed. They had a really large beef that went on for several years.
Kill Shot was about him.
Kill Shot is a song that Eminem made about MGK.
Would have never put that together.
Yeah, that ended the beef, and then Rap Devil was like a first song that MGK made to to initiate the beef with Eminem.
I remember that and I recognized that, but I didn't know what on earth MGK. Like I got that part. Like I got that part of it. The part I didn't get was how that MGK was from Cleveland. I had no clue.
Okay,
did not know that at all. That is where I fell short. Like,
that's fair. Well, that game it's Detroit Mercy at Cleveland State, Saturday, December 6th at 2 p.m.
Interesting. Now I know. See, I feel like
so apparently your rap knowledge doesn't go deep.
No, I didn't like him when he was a rapper. I feel
That's like,
that.
yeah, you got to know birthplaces and hometowns of rappers. You couldn't even get Compton right. So
That's
talk
true.
about
That's valid.
screwed from the get go.
That's valid. That's valid.
It's I feel like that's why I miss your clues, is because I'm missing like one, like what was it? You were talking about Vanderbilt anchors down or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I didn't watch that. You were like, they were saying on a college game, and I was like, I did not watch college
That's
game
just
day.
like it anchors down as like a very prominent Vanderbilt fan phrase.
The only Vanderbilt
Roll
fan I
Tide.
know is Elliot because he lives in Nashville.
That's fair. That's fair.
Another tough one for the books. See, we're never gonna get clicks because we can't ever get things right. Oh man, I found out in our comments that the school Queens is not in New York from my clue last week. So in case you wondered where Queens was, it's in North Carolina.
Yeah, they're now they're merging with Elon.
Oh, I
That
forgot
is
about
correct.
that.
Yeah.
Also, couldn't have told you where Elon was.
Not New York.
I could tell you that now. Well, Jaren. I mean, I don't know. We've gone long. We just want to. Why don't we just wrap it up and say goodbye to the people? And or do you want to keep running and do the rest of it?
It's up to you. We can.
I don't know. What, you know what, everyone, they'll be okay. This is a special one. Why don't we just wrap it up here?
Okay.
Okay.
Call it Dunzo.
Yeah.
All right.
Took up too much of your time, per usual, fellas.
It's okay. It's okay. We're always happy to have you on.
We knew we were getting into. I've had you on enough.
That is true. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We Adam texted me. He was like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this?" I said, "Okay, well, let's give him very clear instructions and just be like, all right, well, here's what we'll do. Here's how we're gonna make it work." And we had no technical. My concern was technical difficulties, and there weren't any. So
here we go. And
we were also
found out streaming, so that's a win-win. Everybody
we were also close to making it to your game on Wednesday. Well, Jaren was ready to go. I couldn't make it work, but
it was good, man. It was good. I mean, I do think, and obviously their bounce back win. You know, it's nice that we have a common opponent so close. You know, because we'll go up to Western Michigan next week Wednesday. So, you know, I do know that they're a little worried about their schedule now moving forward. I think they got Marquette coming up, and then a non-D1, and then I think they got good. So. But I thought they played well yesterday. I mean, obviously, I watched that game and they hit some shots. I thought Mark was really good. Owen Deese, who's actually from down here by us, obviously hit some shots. So, hey, man, we'll take them winning. It just makes us look better.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you stick around here for a second, Spru, and
I got you.
We'll let the people go.
Yep. All right. Well, the clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next time. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.